I think a lot of people overlook minimalism tremendously. Um, Fix that. Yeah, I've thought about this recently, mostly the last couple days, because I just think that minimalism helps solve so many problems. It can help fix a lot of someone's problems. If someone feels like their life is just full of extreme clutter and there's so much drama and there's so much extra baggage going on that just needs to be cut out. And it just applies to so many facets of life. And it can kind of be this way of shifting your mindset to kind of help fix your lifestyle in general. And I mentioned this on my TikTok as well, so I kind of just want to break it down a little bit more. You can kind of apply it to your finances as well. Building a budget, understanding what you're spending your money on, the percentages of where your money is going, investments, food, savings, just fun purchases, whatever. Understanding that can make your life so much simpler. And obviously, it's a lot more of a process to break that down and understanding your finances. But it goes back to the idea of minimalism. And if you're not understanding this clutter in your life, I'm probably going to use that word multiple times. Understanding the clutter and like where your money is going, the purchases that you are making, and you're not really realizing how much money is going out, it can be kind of stressful to figure all of that out. So in that sense, minimalism can be the answer and not making your finances extremely complicated, right? Minimalism can also be used to, in a way, help identify this, like kind of schedule and create a system for your life and not just sporadically choosing how to, get shit done in your life, and trying to separate the times that you're going to be productive and the times that you're going to be slacking off and enjoying your hobbies and whatnot. It's going to make your life a lot easier to not just do everything in a sporadic fashion, and be able to get the things done that you want to get done in a timely manner and not just choosing randomly when you want to get things done. That can be extremely helpful. It also ties to just your relationships because, in a sense, minimalism can be the opposite of materialism. And I've talked about materialism a decent amount on this channel and on TikTok. But with materialism, it is easy to get obsessed with your possessions, your materialistic possessions, and having that be what makes you happy and fulfilled in your life as opposed to your authentic connections, which is what should be the things that you look forward to, right? This is going to take a dark turn for a second, but, what do people focus on when they're in their last moments and they're about to die? What do they talk about? What do they focus on? They focus on the people that they were able to spend time with throughout their life, their family, their close friends, all of their meaningful relationships. They're not focused on all the things that they achieved and, what kind of cars they have. Like, it's about the people that they care about. And so, I've already touched on this subject, but obsessing over materialistic possessions and what you own is, it doesn't really turn out well in the long run. And so, in a sense, applying minimalism and, not being too tied to those things, doing the opposite, focusing on your relationships. Because to a degree, owning things can be very fulfilling and can make you happy, but it can definitely, it can definitely become overbearing, and you can definitely be taken away by this idea of materialism. So, but in that sense, minimalism can be applied and can be very helpful. So overall, minimalism can help, and it's also extremely overlooked. But another thing I kind of want to mention is this, obviously we know that social media can influence you in many ways. The content that you're absorbing on a daily basis, it's designed to keep you hooked. It's designed to keep you sucked in, right? I definitely think that social media is stays away from this idea of minimalism, but just by design. Because, take like gym culture for example, and all these fitness influencers trying to teach you how to do certain things, like, oh, I want to get bigger arms, or I want to lose body fat, or I want to gain weight, I want to bulk, whatever your goals are. Whether it's searching up a specific goal that you want, or you just stumble across videos, there's always going to be this conflicting information within what you're trying to learn or the goals you're trying to achieve, because everyone's fighting to get your attention, everyone's trying to find the hot take, the thing, the key to the answer to find the goal that you want to achieve, right? And so everyone's going to have conflicting opinions, and it's become this cluster, and you're not going to know what advice you need to take in order to get there. And it really avoids this idea of simplicity. Simplicity and minimalism correlate extremely well, and that's really something that you could fall back on, focusing on minimalism and simplicity in your life, and not trying to, make your life so complicated for no reason, But I definitely think that social media doesn't help with this at all. It's really hard to take advice and learn from social media, to learn a skill, just gaining information in general. There's so much conflicting information, biased information for that matter. I would say that minimalism is the answer to a lot of our problems. Minimalism is overlooked to an extreme extent, especially with social media, of course. There has to be a specific answer towards everything. There has to be a specific method and all these extra steps you have to take to accomplish the goals that you want, when really that's not the case most of the time. Most of the time you may just have to dumb it down to simplicity and being able to be consistent in your day-to-day actions and efforts. Taking small steps towards those goals day in and day out. Sometimes that's just the answer. It's not a secret method that you're missing, or you're not missing the secret sauce to like finding greatness or whatever. Usually that's not the answer. So yeah, I really wanted to drive this point home of minimalism. It has such a greater impact on our lives than we realize, and I think it's just because it's how our lifestyles have changed, how technology has really integrated into our lives, and how it's changed our lives over time. And I think it's really made our lives a lot less simple than it has been. And I've explained the numerous ways that minimalism can be applied. But I'm just explaining from experience and not trying to act sporadically or try to make things more complicated than it has to be. And trying to apply all these things, your life, you'll all of a sudden realize that your life will be a lot less stress-free. There will be a lot less clutter. You won't be stressing about all these random things you never thought you would be, And like I said on my TikTok, you'll be able to you'll be a lot more stress-free. You'll be a lot more mentally and psychologically, worked out, if that makes sense. And that'll help you be able to make the more difficult decisions in life and be able to, work the harder things out that you never thought you could. You'll come to realize that when you have a lot less put on your plate, most likely by yourself, you'll be able to handle a lot more than you think you can. You'll be able to achieve a lot more than you think you can. I genuinely believe that. So that's my lesson on minimalism. Let me know your thoughts on this. That's all for now.